Recently, I picked the worst area from every Mario RPG, and today I'm going to choose my favorite in each one. So Super Mario RPG has a lot of fantastic locations, but Booster Tower is probably the point where it really clicked for me. It's already funny before this point, but this is where I feel like it really started to get more creative. The area is funny before you even step inside. Booster's this Nintendian avatar looking guy who decided Peach fell out of the sky specifically for him to marry, and instead of storming a castle, you're climbing a tower stuffed with a grown man's collection of dolls and a miniature train he rides around the place. There's also an enemy here that kind of looks like Tung 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 Sahur. Bowser tags along too, having just lost his entire kingdom. And joining him here must have been like the craziest thing ever in 1996. You start out rescuing Peach from him, and now he's helping you rescue her from somebody even stranger 5 minutes after he was the one trying to kidnap her. Booster himself doesn't have much screen time in the game, but he's still a very memorable character, and even a lot more memorable than most of the characters in this game. And Booster isn't even the only reason I like it. The tower tests something every couple of rooms instead of settling into like one gimmick. You're hiding behind curtains from Booster's sniffsters, solving a portrait puzzle that unlocks a weapon for Bowser, and fighting Knife Guy and Great Guy as one climbs onto the other's back and changes the whole battle. By the time Booster grabs Peach and bolts, and you're chasing him up Booster Hill, bouncing off barrels and snifters to catch up to her for flowers, really none of it is worn thin. Another one I really like is Nimbus Land. It stretches across multiple areas and gives you the whole Valentina subplot, but Booster Tower is still the one I pick first. It never drags and just has so many funny ideas and just so many different things going on that it is my favorite area in the game. Now for Paper Mario, this is going to be a controversial one because I've actually seen people have it as their least favorite, but it's Shy Guy's Toy Box. So there's some build up to Shy Guy's Toy Box where things are missing and then you find the hidden entrance. And I really like the idea of actually physically going into this toy box. The whole chapter runs on a circular railroad connecting 4 different stations, and every station has something different going on. There's a room that stays pitch black while you're fighting the big lantern ghost, who you can't even see until you've hit his lantern enough times to brighten the room. He keeps blowing it back out to reset the fight, and Watt being trapped inside the lantern the whole time gives the fight real stakes. And the chapter just keeps introducing new Shy Guy variations, and even the normal enemies help make the place memorable. By the time General Guy rolls out in an actual tank,
I have a tank!
The Shy Guys have gone from stealing a frying pan to forming an entire Shy Guy army, and it's just a perfect way to end the chapter. I understand why this chapter isn't everyone's favorite, but I always love the concept of it, I always love the design, and I love the enemies here. And for me, it's the chapter that just stands out the most. Superstar Saga takes place in the Bean Bean Kingdom, and you have your grasslands, you have small towns, and the occasional kingdom-specific gag. So walking into Woohoo University really comes out of left field. So you're walking through the aftermath here, which I thought was a cool idea. Like Cackletta and Fawful have already trashed this place by the time you show up, turning the scientist into laser sniffets and scattering research gone wrong through every hallway. And somehow that includes actual viruses straight out of Dr. Mario. It's a really weird Dr. Mario reference to hide in the middle of Superstar Saga, or I shouldn't even say hide since it's very in your face. But I always love when Nintendo references other games like this. Like nowadays, if they try to make something like this, it would probably just be a bunch of Goombas and Koopa Troopas and nothing original. There's also the Cackletta fight itself. Like I figured she'd be an end of game boss the way these things usually go, but you fight her here well before the final stretch in a lightning lit room behind a door that only opens once you've routed through the right mirrors. Like just the twist here alone really makes this area better, but I also love the design of it. It just has that classic goofy but unique early Mario and Luigi series vibe, and I always have a blast exploring this place. If you're enjoying this video so far, subscribe to help me reach 15,000 subs, because if you're liking this video, I have a bunch of other Mario RPG videos on screen that you'll almost certainly like. And now for the 1,000-year door, I think this is probably another controversial one, but it's the Excess Express for me. So in this chapter, you go on a train and it has a mystery that stretches across 3 days. And I don't know why, but I always just love mysteries in video games, and I've always loved the concept of the mystery on a train throughout media, so of course I'm gonna like this. I think something like Glitzville probably has a stronger overall story, it has bigger fights, it has more of a character arc, and honestly I think this is a very fair pick, and I know it's gonna be a common pick for those of you in the comments, but ever since I was a kid, this has always been my favorite chapter. You have a briefcase containing nitro honey syrup and vital paper that goes missing early on, and whoever took it also stole a gold ring and shell earring, since apparently all 3 can be combined into a bomb. A private detective named Pennington is already aboard, having introduced himself while investigating a stolen pot of stew the day before. And Pennington is one of my favorite Paper Mario characters in general. Like, he's easily got to be my favorite penguin in media from the 2000s. And I like how you never know who you could actually trust. You never know what's actually going on here. And then you find out that the actual culprit here is Dupless, who's disguised as Ziptoad. And then at the end of the chapter, you go to Poshley Heights. And it's a very short part of the game, but an interesting location. I know a common knock on this chapter is that there's not really much combat here, and that is true. Like, you have the part where you stop, you have to solve some puzzles, you get a new ability, and you could fight there. And while I love the combat in the 1,000-Year Door, this is like no other chapter, and I just love everything else about it. Partners in Time has some really great and unique locations, and I think something I like about it is just how you can see some of these areas in different moments in time. Like some of them, like Holly Jolly Village, like you'll see just completely destroyed by the shrooms. But my favorite has to be Inside Yube. Like, you're in your typical Yoshi land, and then you just get swallowed up by this giant reptilian creature, which funnily enough would not be the only time in a Mario Luigi game that you get swallowed by a giant reptilian creature. And there's just so much going on here. Like, it seems like every single time you found the weirdest part of Yube, the next room makes the situation worse. And if I remember correctly, the game implies the trapped Yoshis are slowly being turned into more Yubes. This is kind of one of the areas that it's kind of hard to quantify why exactly it's my favorite, but I always just found it so interesting. Super Paper Mario is one of my favorite games ever, so this was actually really hard. And also, I just want to say, I'm going to go with full chapters since they're basically their own areas anyway. It came down to 3, being the Bitlands, which has this really cool look with everything made out of bits, and it tests out a ton of different ideas across levels that don't feel like anything alike. It also has Nintendo's first Discord mod, interestingly enough. There's Chapter 7, which is the underwear and over there, and it actually might be one of my favorite location concepts in any Mario game. A place that isn't a grassland or desert would send modern Paper Mario into an actual panic attack. But I think I have to go with Chapter 8. The other 2 are more interesting to look at, but Chapter 8 I think is just the most fun for me from start to finish. It gives you 4 of the best levels in the game back to back to back to back, with the first 3 peeling the party apart one at a time. Bowser against O'Chunks, Peach against Minnie, and Luigi chasing Dementio through pieces of every earlier chapter before Luigi stays behind to fight him alone and disappears too. Bowser and Peach really do feel like they're sacrificing themselves in the moment, and when I was 6, I thought Bowser had actually died after the O'Chunks fight. Mario games very rarely do permanent death, and if they do it, it's not for like a main character, but I didn't really realize that when I was like 6 years old when I first played this. And then they all return during the Count Bleck fight, obviously, but that first playthrough scare is still the thing I remember most about this. On top of the story, you've got tougher enemies, you've got actual puzzles, and stuff hidden everywhere if you go looking for it. I don't think anything else in the game is this consistently good throughout an entire chapter. Plus, the ending here is amazing, maybe the best ending in any Mario game ever made. So I'm actually replaying Bowser's Inside Story now, and while I'm not up to this part that I'm going to get to yet, I think my favorite has to be Fawful's Peach's castle. By the time you reach it, Fawful's already been running the show for a while, and the castle's been rebuilt around him accordingly. Right down to the Peach statues crudely retouched with Fawful's face that Bowser has to smash through just across the garden. Fawful's voice cuts in and over everything like he's narrating every miserable part of his own fortress. At one point, he locks doors behind keys scattered across the castle grounds on flying Fawful copters when he taunts you. The area keeps switching between Bowser tearing through the castle grounds and Mario and Luigi dealing problems inside his body. And I just love seeing the Fawful transformations into the castle, as Fawful is one of my favorite characters in this entire series. Like, I've seen Peach's castle 100 different times, but this was a really cool twist on it. Now for Sticker Star. Funnily enough, I saw a comment saying the video was slop just because I said I didn't like Sticker Star, but anyway, I don't think many areas here are great. Almost all of them are your typical New Super Mario Bros. Levels. Like, you have your jungles, you have your tundras, you have your deserts. Like, there's nothing really that unique about it, but I actually do like the mansion here. It's a haunted mansion buried in a snowstorm, and the steward waiting outside asks you to clear out 100 boos that Kamek accidentally released from the Book of Sealing while looking for something to read. Hunting them down by room while a slow down, eerier cover of Waltz of the Boos plays makes the mansion feel creepier than almost anything else in Sticker Star. And once you've sealed the last one, Kamek releases all of them again and combines them into Big Boo, who you fight at the end. Then you go back, the forebear has reclaimed the mansion and turns the steward you'd been helping into his servant, and he invites Mario in for tea. Like, none of this is strange. I don't think this is a top tier Mario RPG location or anything, but it actually felt like something that could have maybe been in another Paper Mario game. Mario & Luigi Dream Team spends a lot of its runtime teaching you one more mechanic or stretching one more area out longer than it needs to be, and I do love this game, but it definitely feels like it's a little too long. But I actually really like Neo Bowser's castle here. It's a mix of Bowser and Phantasma's designs rather than a standard Bowser castle with purple decoration slapped onto it. It has spikes and lava on one side and dark vines and shadow particles on the other. Inside, you chase Kamek through 3 different Dream World fights as he keeps scrambling through the doorways to slow you down. Further in, there's a giant battle against Bowser's own dream self while the real Bowser naps nearby, completely oblivious to everything happening inside his head. Waking him up is what finally exposes the whole alliance. Bowser turns on Phantasma right there in the castle and boasts that he had planned to double-cross him from the start. Phantasma escapes through a dream portal and Prince Dreambert follows him for a rematch of the fight they had centuries ago. There's just so many things that go on here. It also has such a cool design, and I'd say by far this is my favorite area in the game. For Mario & Luigi Paper Jam, it's another game I really don't like that much. I think that, like with Sticker Star, it just really feels sanitized and bland. I haven't played this game in a long time. I'm going to be replaying it for a video soon, but I don't think I've ever actually replayed this. So if I had to go with one, I'd say Mount Burr. It's an icy mountain base run by King Babam and his troops, and it's also where the game finally hands you the trio drill, letting all these characters dig underground and pass beneath obstacles that would otherwise block the path. It gets used a lot here, and I guess that's cool. King Babam is a timed fight too, so I guess that's an interesting concept. Honestly, I really don't remember that much about this location. All I remember is that this was one of the better parts of the game. So now on to Paper Mario Color Splash. So while I'm not a big fan of this game, I actually do like some of the ideas they tested out. Like, it very much is the sticker star formula, but it felt like they had some room to be creative here. Like, you had the one Super Mario Bros. 3 level, which is awesome, and I love the references put in that. But I'd say overall, the dark blue end's my favorite. 6 ghost toads are haunting the inn, and Mario's to find each one and help them get to the dining room before the clock reaches 3. If you miss the deadline, the inn loop resets and resets into the exact same haunting, but you approach the second attempt completely differently. The first time you're just exploring and you're just trying to find out what each ghost actually needs, but once it actually resets, you know where everyone is and start planning the whole night in order instead of just like stumbling into it. Now this is like the second time where there's a haunted building with booze in a Paper Mario game. That's also coincidentally my favorite in the game. I just always like this level, but honestly I think the Super Mario Bros. 3 level is like neck and neck with it though. In Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, Ancient Gardens is the very first world in this game, which sounds like a boring pick on paper, especially with later worlds leaning into stronger individual themes. But I'd actually say I have the least complaints about this one. It has to teach you basically the entire tactic system at once, an XCOM style thing slapped onto the Mushroom Kingdom, but I actually never feel like I'm being dragged through one giant tutorial. Cover mechanics and team jumps are worked into short encounters while you move through waterfall puzzles, and the first half builds towards per Rabbid plant, then Luigi joins after that fight, chain jump starts showing up as actual stage hazards, you even get Rabbid Kong here. There's definitely areas that are more intricate here, and I know this is probably an unpopular pick, but this is one I think I just had the most fun with. Paper Mario the Origami King ditched the level system and instead has more open areas, so I think there's a couple ways we could go about choosing this. Like, we can choose one of the streamer areas, but I'm pretty confident in my pick being Shogun Studios. It's a full theme park built around Japanese folklore and samurai movies. The empty streets make the park feel weirdly eerie before anything else happens. You're walking through a dress-up photo studio, a house of riddles, and a tea house with hidden toads tucked inside buildings that clearly aren't getting visitors anymore. And Bobby tagging along makes it feel more like a day at the park. The ninja attraction is probably the strongest stretch in the park, with almost every room hiding a new visual joke or secret worth backtracking for. You could also find the fire hammer and ice hammer here, so there's even useful stuff to discover beyond the hidden toads. As someone who doesn't love Origami King, I really love this area though. It's just so creative and just shows me that there is still hope for the Paper Mario series. I feel like a lot of Sparks of Hope's planets blur together for me. You kind of just arrive, clear the dark mess, fix the local problem, leave. And Terraflora still follows that structure, but it's the planet where I remember the journey itself. Terraflora used to be a lush, overgrown planet before Curse's dark mess drained it, and restoring Mount Spout gives the planet just a big visual payoff by the time you're done. Reaching the heart of the planet means riding the Wiggler train, which is an actual steam train shaped like a Wiggler and driven by an engineer named Selvin, who has an entire one-sided thing, who even has an AI in the ship. Partway through the ride, a real Wiggler gets enraged by the dark mess and smashing into the train car by car, and then climbing Mount Spout afterward, the giant water volcano you've been trying to restore. It is much slower, but I don't mind it after how chaotic the train fight is. When I think back on Terraflora, it's the order of the whole thing that sticks. The train, the Wiggler fight, the climb up Mount Spout, and even just the design of this whole place. And finally, we arrive at Mario and Luigi Brothership. A lot of coins is different from most Brothership islands because the Extension Corps have actually taken over the city's main office building, and you actually have a choice here. You go the Peach route or the Luigi route, so for my playthrough, I want the Peach route. And the city is refreshing after so many natural islands, and people seem to live and work here rather than the island just existing around one gimmick. And like I said, the story lets you choose whether Peach or Luigi gets captured, and the route changes slightly depending on who you pick. Peach has to be found in a cell while Luigi manages to break out on his own. Afterward, another prisoner hands you a sheet of clues you use to work out the code and free everyone else. And piecing it together while climbing through an occupied office building, I just thought was super creative. You learn the Bro Ball here, which you use a lot, and it ends with a fight against Mega Snapter. But by the time I got there was just so many individual moments here, like just trying to go through the office buildings. Like, I think Brothership is an alright game, but at least I'm glad it's going in the right direction from Paper Jam, because this is what I want to see out of the Mario and Luigi series. I want to see unique locations. I want to see funny things like this. And anyway, that is my favorite location in every Mario RPG. I don't expect you all to agree, this is just my personal opinions, but if you did enjoy this, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to help me reach 15,000 subs, and also go check out this video where I go over the worst area in every Mario RPG game. Now, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.